Well, today, a Marion County judge said the system failed an Indianapolis woman who was shot and killed by the father of her baby.
Driver's seat now with the door open.
Police say Mitchell got out of his car and pointed this rifle at officers.
Drop it! Now!
Officers Taylor and Jones both fired multiple shots at Mitchell, hitting him in the leg. You can see the rifle next to Mitchell as officers approach him. Police say he also had this gun in his waistband.
Mom. She was the best mom ever.
He shot her in the face, outside a daycare, in front of other people's children. And when the security footage played in court, the judge said he looked proud. Make it make sense. Not proud in some broken, grief-stricken way. Proud. Like a man who wanted the world to see what he did and was glad they finally got the chance. The judge who sentenced him said it plainly. Orlando Mitchell appeared to take pride and delight in that murder, like it was something worth showing off. And here's what makes this story sit heavy. Crystal Walton wasn't caught off guard by some stranger. She knew the danger. She had the paperwork, she had the police reports, she had the court orders. She had 2 active arrest warrants out on this man the morning he killed her. The system just didn't move fast enough to matter. This is her story, and we're not going to rush through it, because she deserves every second. Crystal Walton was born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana. She worked in healthcare as a radiology technologist, the kind of job that requires real training, real discipline, real commitment. She was a mother first to a daughter from a previous relationship, and by all accounts, she was that mom, the one who showed up, who made it work, who kept going. Around 2017, Crystal got into a relationship with a man named Orlando Mitchell. For a few years, things looked like they were moving forward. By 2021, she was pregnant with his child. She went on social media to announce it, genuinely excited, sharing that moment the way people do when they believe something good is coming. Girl, it did not stay good for long. February 2021, less than a month after that announcement, less than a month, Crystal called the police. And what she told them that day set the tone for everything that followed. She was 4 months pregnant. Orlando had attacked her inside their home. The reason? Her ex, the father of her daughter, had come to pick up his child. That's it. That's what triggered him. A man coming to get his own kid. Orlando got jealous, got physical, and turned on the woman carrying his baby. He choked her. He made threatening statements. He told her he didn't even want the child she was pregnant with. Crystal's daughter, a child, had to physically intervene to get him to let go. Let that register. A little girl had to step in to protect her mother from the man who was supposed to be building a family with her. Crystal grabbed her daughter, got out of that house, drove to her mother's, and called the police. She did exactly what you're supposed to do. Orlando was charged with 4 felonies: strangulation, domestic battery, criminal confinement, and intimidation. 4 felonies against a pregnant woman, period. You would think that was the part where the system stepped in and handled it. You would think. Those 4 felony charges sat in the courts for over a year. Over a year. And in July 2022, more than a year after he choked a pregnant woman, Orlando Mitchell walked into a courtroom and took a plea deal. Not for the 4 felonies. Oh no, those were all dismissed. He pleaded guilty to 1 single misdemeanor: domestic battery. 1 misdemeanor for strangulation, confinement, intimidation, and battery against a pregnant woman. His sentence? 363 days in jail. And that sentence was fully suspended. He served effectively 0 meaningful time behind bars. 0. He walked out of that courtroom with 1 year of probation, a 26-week counseling program, and a no-contact order with Crystal and her daughter, except for arrangements involving their son. Moving on, because there's more. As part of that plea deal, Orlando Mitchell was now legally prohibited from possessing any firearms. Like, legally, on paper, cannot have a gun. We'll come back to that. Around Mother's Day, Orlando posted a general greeting wishing all the great mothers a happy day. Crystal saw it and commented, pointing out the post seemed like it needed to be edited. He responded publicly, wishing her a happy Mother's Day by name. That same day, he posted photos of their baby boy celebrating a milestone. And then he added a caption that said, "Even if your mama tells you differently, Daddy loves you." So, on the very same day he's wishing Crystal a happy Mother's Day, he's also planting a seed in the comments publicly suggesting that she would lie to their child about his father's love. Both posts, same day. One playing the warm co-parent, one quietly tearing her down. Oh, so now he's the victim? That's the narrative he was building, publicly, for anyone scrolling to see. Then came August 6th. Orlando contacted Crystal, demanding to pick up their son a day earlier than his scheduled time. She said no. He showed up at her home anyway, walked in despite the active protective order that was supposed to keep him away from her. When Crystal told him she was calling the police, he looked at her and said something that should have had him locked up that same night. He told her directly, "This will be the last time you call for someone." She didn't call the police right then. Instead, she called his mother, right there in the room, hoping that would calm things down. He eventually left. And then Crystal reported the whole thing to law enforcement. The very next day, she got a text from him. And let me tell you something, this text said everything about where his head was. "You have got to learn to be reasonable with me about my son. If you want to keep playing, I promise I will not stop until you lose everything. That house, job, and your child. So it's up to you." The same child he told Crystal he didn't want while she was pregnant. That child was now the centerpiece of every threat he made. He had rejected this baby before he was born. Now he was using him like a weapon. Then, on August 18th, he posted a photo of himself with their son. The caption called Crystal worthless and complained she wouldn't let him see his son, publicly, for the world to read. That same day, Crystal walked into court and filed a petition to establish child support for their son. Because while he was online performing for an audience, she was doing the actual work of raising a child and trying to make the courts move. A hearing was scheduled. He didn't show up, so the court rescheduled. He was publicly crying about not seeing his son while not bothering to appear at a court hearing about financially supporting that same child. Anyways, by the end of August, a probation violation notice was filed and an arrest warrant was issued against Orlando, directly because of what happened on August 6th when he violated the no-contact order. And it kept stacking. By September 15th, the day before Crystal was killed, prosecutors had filed 3 additional charges against him: invasion of privacy, intimidation, and residential entry. A second arrest warrant was issued. Prosecutors asked the judge for a higher-than-standard bond, arguing Orlando was already on active probation. The judge agreed. The order stated that once he was picked up, he would sit in Marion County Jail for at least 7 days before any bond consideration. 2 arrest warrants, active probation, a no-contact order, a man who had already told her in writing that he would not stop until she lost everything. And he was still out there, free, somewhere in Indianapolis, with a gun he was legally forbidden to have. Crystal did all the things that she was supposed to do. Sometimes it's not that the victims need to do more. I said what I said, and so did she. But the moment that stopped everyone, the moment that broke the whole crowd open, was when Crystal's young daughter walked up to that microphone.
I love my mom. She was the best mom ever.
Here.
That little girl had already lived through watching her mother get choked by this man when she was pregnant. She had physically stepped in to protect her mother, and now she was standing at a microphone in front of a crowd, telling the world what her mother meant to her. There are no words for that kind of pain in a child that size. One of Crystal's closest friends described her as joyful, said if she had to pick one word, that was it, joyful. And you could feel that in every person who showed up that night. Crystal was not just a victim. She was someone who filled up a room, someone people actually missed. Orlando Mitchell was charged with Crystal's murder and with invasion of privacy for violating the protective order that had been in place. His case eventually made its way to Marion County Superior Court, and after 3 days of testimony, the jury had everything they needed. Prosecutors showed the jury security camera footage from the daycare itself, footage that showed Orlando already outside, positioned and waiting, before Crystal even pulled up. The video showed him watching, waiting, and then moving toward her the moment she walked back out those doors. There was no sudden snap, no moment of uncontrolled emotion. The camera caught a man who had made a decision and was following through with it. And then there was Orlando's behavior inside that courtroom. He interrupted testimony. He screamed insults at Crystal's family while they sat there trying to hold themselves together. And when the security footage played, when the jury watched him ambush and shoot Crystal Walton, the judge observed that Orlando appeared to take pride and delight in what they were seeing on that screen, like he was glad it was being shown, like he had wanted an audience all along. The jury deliberated for about 90 minutes, guilty, on both counts. Sentencing came on April 1st, 2025. Crystal's family filled that gallery. Her father, Christopher, stood in that courtroom and faced the man who had taken his daughter, and he spoke. The judge, having watched Orlando perform throughout the entire trial, gave him the maximum, 66 years.
No matter what number he put out there, it wasn't gonna be enough for me. I'm not satisfied, but depending on that being the max, we'll definitely take it.
Christopher Walton, Crystal's father, sentencing, April 1st, 2025. The executive director of Charity Child Care also testified at sentencing. She said Orlando Mitchell took away the sanctity of a place that more than 300 children call home every single day. She said that corner of the West Side will never be the same, and she is right. Because every parent who pulls into that parking lot now carries something they didn't carry before he showed up there with a gun. But here's the thing about Orlando Mitchell. 66 years was not the end of his story in the courts. While he was awaiting trial for Crystal's murder, Orlando had a follow-up medical appointment scheduled at a hospital for the leg wound he received when police shot him the morning he killed Crystal. On the day of that appointment, he was loaded into a transport van with one deputy assigned to him. Department policy required 2 deputies when transporting a murder suspect. That day, only one showed up for the job. During the transport, Orlando worked his handcuff chain loose. When the van returned to the jail and he stepped out, he wrapped that chain around the deputy's neck. That deputy was 61-year-old John Durham, a 38-year veteran of the Marion County Sheriff's Office. After a struggle that lasted nearly 2 minutes, Deputy Durham's neck was broken. He did not survive. A nearby officer saw Orlando driving away in the transport van and called for help. He crashed into a utility pole outside the jail and was quickly taken back into custody. The Marion County Sheriff's Office acknowledged that the policy requiring 2 deputies had not been followed that day, citing severe understaffing. But the sheriff was direct about where the blame ultimately belonged. It was not the staffing. It was not the equipment. It was Orlando Mitchell. He now faces a death penalty case for Deputy Durham's murder. That trial has been set for February 2027. Make it make sense. A man who the system let walk out of a courthouse in 2022 with a suspended sentence and a counseling program went on to shoot a woman in the face at a daycare and then killed a law enforcement officer with a chain in a jail parking lot. 2 families destroyed, 300 children traumatized, and all of it traceable back to a single moment when a court decided 4 felonies were worth 1 misdemeanor. A year after Crystal was killed, her father Christopher did something with his grief that most people would not have had the strength to do. He organized a 5K run at Washington Park in Indianapolis on September 16, 2023, the 1-year anniversary of the day he lost his daughter. He called it the Running Away from Domestic Violence 5K, and he committed to making it an annual event. Think about that.
Shed some light on this. We can't do anything about what has happened, but we can move forward and hopefully provide a safe place for people and to know that they're not alone.
The man who sat in a courtroom watching surveillance footage of his own daughter being ambushed and shot turned that anniversary into a reason for his community to lace up their shoes and show up for every Crystal who was still here and still fighting. That is not just grief. That is purpose. Crystal Walton was described by the people who loved her as joyful, accountable, confident, intelligent, a woman who showed up, a woman who did the work, at her job, as a mother, in court, in police stations, in protective order filings. She did not sit still and hope things would get better. She moved. She documented. She reported. And still, the system did not move fast enough to match her effort. 2 arrest warrants had been issued for Orlando Mitchell, a probation violation. 3 new charges filed the day before he killed her. A judge had already ordered that once he was picked up, he would be held for at least 7 days. All of that was in place. He just had not been picked up yet. That gap between the paperwork existing and the actual enforcement of it is where Crystal Walton lost her life. And she is not the only one. That gap has a body count. People in Crystal's life said it at her vigil, and they meant it. No contact orders are not worth the paper they are written on if no one is actively enforcing them. The system waited for him to come to it. He had already shown more than once that he was not going to cooperate. He had violated the order. He had made threats in writing. His own mother had heard him say what he was going to do. Crystal did everything right. She was still let down. And that is the conversation her story demands we have. Not just about Orlando Mitchell, but about what happens in the space between a woman filing a report and a warrant actually being served. Because in that space, people die. And they keep dying. And we keep gathering at vigils saying this should not have happened, while the laws that are supposed to prevent it stay exactly as they are. In the days after Crystal's passing, her brother posted something online that said everything his family was feeling. He wrote about not sleeping for days, about how the morning before he found out about Crystal, he could not sleep either, like some part of him already knew. He said he had scrolled through his entire phone, watching every video and photo he had of her. He told people to call their loved ones, to make it a job to hear their voices, because you never know when the last time will be. He called his sister an angel on earth. He said it was no surprise God needed her back. Girl, I am not crying, you are crying. Crystal's homegoing service was held on October 1st, 2022. She was 32 years old. She had a daughter who had to grow up watching her mother fight to survive the man who was supposed to be her partner. She had a son whose father murdered his mother outside the building where she had just dropped him off. 2 children, 2 very different futures now, both shaped by one man's decision to make his rage someone else's permanent loss. And Orlando Mitchell is currently sitting in a cell with 66 years ahead of him for Crystal, and a death penalty case still waiting for him for Deputy John Durham. The courts are not finished with him, But for Crystal's family, for her children, for the people who loved her, no number of years changes what September 16th, 2022 took from them. Her father said it best. No matter what number a judge put on the board, it was never going to be enough. You cannot sentence away a daughter. You cannot sentence away a mother. You cannot give those children back the woman who showed up for them every single day. What you can do, what Crystal's story demands, is pay attention before it gets to a courtroom. Pay attention to the threats. Pay attention to the pattern. Pay attention when someone tells you, in writing, that they will not stop until you lose everything. That is not a frustrated person blowing off steam. That is a person telling you exactly who they are. Believe them the first time.